Hello everybody, Skippy Gamer here. Welcome to my video review of Dragon Warrior Part 2, or should I say, Dragon Quest Part 2. Now, back when I played the first game a couple of years ago, it didn't really get me into the series to play the other games or anything. So I decided not to play the second one for a while. And then, after finishing World 6 of my Let's Play of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, and watching a lot of videos relating to this series, I decided to give the series another shot. Especially since I am more into turn-based RPGs now, thanks to the Nintendo 3DS game Bravely Default. So, I played it, and are there enough improvements in this game to get me to like it? Or is it just okay? Story. The story begins with a prologue of events of long ago, when a young warrior named Erdrick came to Alfgard to defeat the Dragon Lord. It also explains that during the coming generations after that faithful day, Edric's descendants ruled Alfgard and many other kingdoms across the land. Even the kingdom east of Alfgard, called Moonbrook. Flashing forward, sometime after the events of the first game, in the kingdom of Moonbrook, the king and princess of the kingdom were in the courtyard, minding their own businesses. When all of a sudden, demonic servants of Hargon the Wizard has invaded the kingdom. But before the king can ride off into battle, Hargon's demonic servants come into the courtyard. But the king, who is stronger than he looks, killed one of his servants, then takes his daughter near the entrance to the basement of the castle, telling her to hide and to be strong no matter what happens to him or her. You could say that again. And just when the king was leaving the courtyard about to warn his cousin in the kingdom of Middenhall, the princess gets attacked by one of the wizard's servants. After the demon mocks her, the king was then enraged. Then he shouted, "Touch her and thou shalt not survive this day!" The king was able to defeat the demon easily, but was then surrounded by more demons. And then the king, as brave and mighty as he was slain. The princess then came out of her hiding place next to the demons near her father's corpse, gasped in horror, shouting, crying over her father's death. Then, the rest of the wizard's demon legion surrounds the entire kingdom. Just then, one of the guards flees the kingdom to warn the king of Middenhall of all that has happened. As the kingdom bursted into flames, the brave guard traveled east, on foot, for an unknown amount of time. And he did not stop, until he reached Middenhall and spoke to the king of all that has transpired, and then dies. After that, the kingdom tells our hero of the story, his son, that it's his duty to defeat the wizard once and for all, before the world falls by his wrath. The king then gives our hero some equipment to get started on his adventure. The king also tells him to find his other cousins in the other kingdoms across the land to aid him in his quest. And then we begin our adventure with some level grinding. The story to this game is much better compared to the first game. It's not as simplistic as defeat the Demon King and get the princess sort of story, but puts a much better plot that involves the entire world being in trouble of certain annihilation. And I think that's a much better plot than the first game, though it's not as epic as other game stories I've seen before, so yeah. With everything I said and more, I decided to give story 2 stars. Music. The music is improved from the first game. The overworld, the castle music, and even the battle themes are different, and some of them do sound much better than the first game. And that includes the main battle theme. Though, out of all the new songs in this game, my personal favorite song of the game so far is the first dungeon you go to. The sound effects are improved also. It still has that common sound effect that NES games have, but better than the first one, no doubt. With everything I said and more, I decided to give music 2 stars. Graphics. The graphics are somewhat better than the first game. Some of the sprites in the overworld are slightly improved from the first game. The character sprites are somewhat different, and the enemies do have some more detail to them. As for the text boxes, they aren't that much different from their coloring and sprite detail that was in the first one. Except the stats are on the top of the screen this time than on the left from the first game, which is nice. Though, my only gripe with the graphics in this game is what happens when you go into battle. In the first game, when you run into an enemy to begin a battle, the screen puts up a small box in front of the screen with a picture of the background and the enemy in front of it, which looks pretty cool graphic-wise in the first one. But in this game, when you enter battle, you are shown a big black background with nothing but enemies and text boxes on the screen, which, I gotta say, was really disappointing. I really liked the small box in the first game, and I really wish they kept that in this game, or at the very least, put a nice picture in the background. Other than that, though, the graphics are nice. Oh, one more thing. The pixel artwork and the design that went into the title screen is beautiful! With nice detail on both the characters and the cave walls and such. And the torch lights are kind of impressive for an NES game, if I do say so myself. As for if there are any inappropriate content in the game, I can safely say so far that there aren't any inappropriate content in the game at all, which is awesome, dude! Though I did find out that the box art for the game is a bit inappropriate, and I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised if an enemy becomes inappropriately designed later on, so just be aware of that. With everything I said and more, I decided to give graphics 2 stars. Gameplay. The gameplay is okay also, and is definitely improved from the first game. To move around, you just use the D-pad, obviously. A is to open your options menu and to select an option, and B is the cancel options mode, say no to a yes or no question, and the normal stuff. Also, the 2 buttons, Turbo A and Turbo B, work the same way too, though I've seen this sort of L and R control scheme before, but I was still surprised. The start button doesn't do anything but start the game in the title screen, and I have no idea what the select button does, if it has any function at all, which I doubt it, honestly. The controls handle good, and you can tell that there are some improvements from the first one. One problem I had with the first game is how hard and complicated it was to move your character at times. Though in this game, it is somewhat improved from the first game, though there were times that it would happen again, like in the first game, but it wasn't that bad as it was in the first game, and it didn't happen all that much, so it's really not a big issue. Another improvement is in the command system. In the first game, if you wanted to interact with something like stairs, treasure chests, or talk to people, you have a specific command for each of them, which in total, excluding spells and status, made you have to select between 6 different interaction options to choose from, which made the option screen look like this. I know, right? This made trying to find the right interaction option very difficult at times, and frustrating. But in this game, it's been reduced to 4 easy-to-use actions, excluding spells and status, which I am so glad they changed. Seriously, having so many options in the first game was a no-brainer in my opinion. So I am so glad they improved it here. So with all that in mind, the controls work good and are much improved from the first game. The gameplay works good too. To know where you are going, or have to go, you have to talk to some people in any village or kingdom you may be visiting to have a clue on where to go. Though sometimes a lot of people don't give enough hints in my opinion. And it would help to remember each kingdom's names as you travel, because there was one point where I had to go to a specific kingdom to find someone, but I forgot that the name of the kingdom that was told to me was my kingdom. I know, right? And there were times where I had to use a guide in between episodes because I didn't want to wander aimlessly through the game, which was disappointing, honestly. Now, one thing longtime followers of my channel know about me is that I hate auto spawns. And in this game, there is auto spawns also, which is mostly unpredictable as ever, with some random patterns that's both bitter and sweet. Bitter, due to times that auto spawns come up frequently at times, and in some cases come up one step after you finish a fight. Sweet, due to times that you will be walking for a while without any fights for a few straight miles. And these situations are really random, so you really won't know when the next battle's coming until it actually happens. So yeah, that's why it's bittersweet. And since this is an old-time turn-based RPG, there are going to be times, a lot of times, where you have to level grind for a while, which is something I usually don't like. Though ever since I've played and finished the Nintendo 3DS game Bravely Default, I have been getting into level grinding, surprisingly. I know, shocking. And after grinding in this game, I can say that sometimes it is fun, and easy to do at times. Though, trying to get back to a town after a while is hard due to auto spawns that appear no matter where you are in the world map, and how unpredictable it is, so be cautious when you grind in this game. I know some people who haven't played this game or the first game is going to get confused on this next topic, so I'm going to explain it here so you don't get confused when you play the actual game. To save your game, you have to go to the king in your home kingdom to save, which is nice, and kind of explains where the whole calling your dad on the phone to save your game concept from Earthbound came from. Oh? What is it? Thankfully, no. In this game, you will be visiting other kingdoms. All you have to do is talk to any king of that kingdom you may be visiting, and he will save it. And then, voila! Game saved. Yeah, it is. The battles are pretty basic. You select a move, whether it be attacking, using spells, or anything else, then watch or read the results. It's basically the same as the first game, especially where you won't be able to see your character during the fights, but the enemies. During my playthrough of the first game, a friend of mine told me that you can't have any partners in the game, and that really disappointed me. But in this game, you could finally have a partner. Better yet, you could have two other partners, if the title screen wasn't any indication. And having a partner in the game is really cool, and is another improvement from the first game. And it does help make finishing battles a bit easier. One other thing that I will mention is that in your home kingdom, the inn and shop items are pretty cheap to buy, which is awesome, and another improvement from the first game. Though some of the equipment in this game are still somewhat expensive, so be aware of that. There's probably more I can mention, but I'm gonna stop it here. Wrapping everything up, Dragon Quest II is a good game, with a lot of stuff improved or fixed from the first game. Most of these changes are awesome and make playing the game so much easier than the first game. Though, there was one other change made to the battle screen, which was disappointing to say the least. Other than that though, it's a good game, and it's much better than Part 1. With everything I said and more, I decided to give gameplay 3 stars. With everything I said and more, I decided to give this game, so far, 2 stars with a bronze medal. Yeah, John? Yeah, it has. Sorry about that. Yeah, and it took me till September to finish it. Man, what an incredible game. What a fun game! I probably should start making some videos right about now, but maybe a little longer. Playing a bit more wouldn't hurt anyone. No, of course not, no. Why would you even think that? I'll see you next time, everybody.